Nobody thought much of it when Jessy entered the vet's office with a giant box. The little girl was probably just bringing her pet to a regular checkup. Jessy walked up to the assistant. She told her that she did not make an appointment, but it was really urgent. When she opened the box, the assistant turned pale. She screamed to the vet and told Jessy not to touch it. What on earth did Jessy bring to the vet? But before we start our story, smash the like button, make sure to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new stories. Jessy was immediately sent to the veterinarian, who had already heard a lot of commotion from the waiting room. Some of the other people already ran away in fear. Jessy did not fear anything. She had found this creature in the forest, and she was determined to save it. The vet opened the box and immediately turned pale. Jessy had no idea why, but the vet ran away. He rushed into another room with the box. Jessy shouted to come back, but the vet would not listen to her. This was urgent. Jessy stayed behind in confusion. She felt like the creature was stolen from her. She knew that it needed help. This was something special that she had found. She had never seen it before in the forest. Then the vet returned. His whole demeanor had changed. He told Jessy that he had locked the creature in a case and that she was safe now. Jessy demanded to see it. After all, she had saved it. The vet said that she could not go to it. It was too dangerous. When Jessy tried to get to the door, the vet blocked her path. He urged her to sit down. The police would arrive soon to see what they could do about the situation. "The police!" Jessy shouted. She felt like she was being treated like a criminal. Suddenly, she heard sirens outside. The vet had locked the room with the creature in it. Jessy felt like more was going on than the vet wanted to tell her. Not only did police officers rush into the vet's office, but their environmental experts were also called in as well. They immediately started asking all kinds of questions to Jessy. However, the girl was just 12 years old. They could not keep her. She demanded that her parents be called because she felt overwhelmed by the situation. Jessy's parents came in after about 15 minutes. Jessy refused to talk to the officers about what had happened. In the meantime, people in hazmat suits started to walk in and out of the room with the creature in it. When Jessy's parents saw that Jessy wasn't allowed to leave the vet's office, they got mad at the officers. How could they keep a child against her will? Then they started explaining what had happened, and both of them were shocked. They quickly urged Jessy to tell them the whole story. She had to give them a lead on where she got the creature from. This could be a life-threatening situation. Jessy herself had to be checked as well. They were informed that a doctor was coming in. Jessy was still determined to protect the creature, but then they heard shouting. The creature had broken out of its cage. They had barricaded the door. It was like the creature tried to get outside, but they could not let that happen. Then Jessy started talking. Jessy said that she has been an animal lover for as long as she can remember. Today wouldn't be the first time she was on a rescue mission for an animal in need. She loved nature and would often walk through the woods, and like so many other times, today was a day she'd be a helper to an animal in need. But things aren't what they seem. Her parents confirmed to the police that she had indeed rescued multiple animals in the past and that she was a young volunteer for the local animal shelter. While on one of Jessy's walks through the woods outside of the city, she was sure he heard an animal crying for help. She paused in the woods waiting to hear it again. It was only a few seconds until she heard the cry again. Jessy was determined to find the lost creature. She thought she'd lost the animal at one point when the crying stopped. Frightened she'd gone too far, Jessy took a few steps back until she once again heard the soft crying. It was then that he spotted the enormous thing. There was a small bed of moss lying on top of it. She was in shock at first. She had no clue what she found. Even with her extensive knowledge of animals, this creature was new to her. The creature seemed fine except for being alone and probably scared. But what could it be? The more she looked at it, Jessy wasn't sure. And that wasn't the only odd thing here. The little moss bed that held this giant creature was strange and looked odd to Jessy. Perhaps some animal had built it as a sort of nest, but still, an animal would be messier. If it hadn't been an animal and it wasn't natural, that left one possibility: humans. The big question was, why would someone come out to the middle of the woods and leave a creature like this alone? She knew one thing had to be done. Making a makeshift carrier for the giant animal out of the cover of her travel bag, she carefully put the creature inside it. The spot on her hand had completely turned purple. She was definitely either bit or stung by the animal. Jessy did not want to tell anyone. She did not want anyone to worry about her, but she immediately had to get checked out. Jessy still had to continue her story before she wanted to be taken away. She had flagged down a car that gave her a box and took her to the vet. This was important to get the exact location where she had found the creature. The woman was quickly found thanks to tracking down her number plate. She also had a purple rash on her body. This definitely meant that whatever the creature infected Jessy and the woman with was airborne. At that moment, the vet started to cough as well. There was something strange going on. The creature probably made the vet sick as well. They had to quickly get to the place where the creature was found. This would get some answers. A team was dispatched to the forest. In the meantime, the vet, the woman, and Jessy were taken to the hospital to get treated. They needed to get blood samples before they could determine what they had to do about it. Jessy had already fainted in the ambulance. This was getting more serious. Her parents weren't allowed to accompany her because there was a risk it would spread. They were being put in a containment unit for observation. The search team quickly got to the forest location, and what they saw there horrified them. The place where Jessy had found the creature was completely dead. Every tree and plant around was completely gone. This was a catastrophe. They had to be extra careful so that they would not hurt themselves. First, they had to contain the spread, which they did by creating a safe circle around the spot. Some officers were too scared to even get close, but they had to do one more thing. A sample had to be collected so it could be taken to the lab for further testing. One brave officer took it upon himself to get the sample and drive it to the lab all by himself. He had to act quickly. He heard that Jessy's condition had gotten worse. The officer got a quick escort to the lab from multiple vehicles. All the roads in the area were closed down, and a true team effort took place to make sure everything could go as fast as possible. The officer finally arrived at the lab after 15 minutes. He was taken inside by a couple of doctors in protective suits. He himself was placed in containment, and they quickly got to work on the sample. But they had to deal with the giant creature as well, who was still locked in the vet's spare room. All everyone could do now was to pray and hope that the researchers quickly came up with an answer. More guys arrived at the vet's office. It was completely closed down, and only certain people were allowed in. Then they got a call from the health department. There was no other option than to burn the creature. They could not guarantee that the creature could be safely transported, so they did not want to take a chance. They had already collected a sample, so they did not need the creature anymore. The researchers could determine that the creature did not come from this side of the world. It probably got transported by plane from another country. They sent out the files to multiple countries to see if they could get some more information. After waiting for a while, they got called by another country's health department. They had recognized the creature. They had recently had an outbreak in their country as well. They told the researchers that they first had to burn everything that got into contact with the creature. A team was dispatched to the forest again to locally burn everything down. They burned the clothes as well of the people who got in contact with the creature as well. They got more information afterwards. They had found a dangerous insect. Jessy had unknowingly saved a dangerous disease-spreading insect that could really damage the environment, as well as make a whole lot of people sick. The window of survival was very short. They had to quickly get the results of the blood samples. A couple of research departments started to work together to help Jessy and the rest. The news picked it up as well to spread awareness of what was going on. Within an hour, they got a whole lot of concerned calls from other people suffering from the same symptoms. This was getting way bigger than anyone ever expected, and multiple hospitals were quickly turned into emergency shelters. They had to get a cure and fast. This could not stay long this way. That would be dangerous for the public's safety. The creature was burned inside of the room that he was locked into. There they found out that the creature had laid eggs. This explained why multiple people were now experiencing similar symptoms. They had to track down where the eggs went. A national hotline was opened for anyone to call in with tips. They got a whole lot of them. People even went outside in groups to search for these insects. They found a couple of them in the city center and on the forest edge. Eventually, it seemed like everything was contained. Now they had to turn to the cure. The other country that helped them had already sent a plane with medication to slow down the process, but they had not found a cure yet. By a stroke of luck, it looked like the parents of Jessy were immune. They took blood samples from them and reproduced the antibodies. This was injected into Jessy's arm. After waiting for a couple of hours, Jessy woke up. She was healthy again. She had asked what was going on and where the creature was. The doctors told her the whole story. Jessy was completely stunned. She felt horrible that she had made this happen. Then the doctors calmed her down. Jessy had in fact saved the entire county. She had contained the creature before it could spread. Eventually, the police figured out that someone had planted the creature there to teach the government a lesson. The person was part of a larger group, and all of the members were arrested for endangering the public safety. Jessy was called to the president's office when she fully recovered. She still did not believe this was her doing. The president told Jessy he was proud of a girl like her and that more people should take inspiration from her. She was honored by the president and even got a medal. She grew up to be a strong environmental activist and run her own shelter.